It's Wednesday, which means it is time for our Midweek Connect. We're so excited that you're here watching with us from wherever you are. Thank you for joining in. If you want, you can go ahead and jump in on the comments with us. We'll have pastors that'll be on there, excited to connect with you, answer any questions, and just have a little fun in the comments. And if you want, please go ahead and share this video. We want to connect with as many people around the world as we can, and we hope that they will be inspired and encouraged on this Wednesday. So next up, we've got some worship, and then Scott Treadway is going to be here with a special guest we really think you'll enjoy.
For we trust in our God, and through His unfailing love, we will not be shaken, we will not be shaken, we will not be shaken. Though the battle rages, we will stand in the fight. Though the armies rise up against us on all sides, we will not be shaken, we will not be shaken, we will not be shaken. For in the hour of our darkest days, we will not tremble, we won't be not shaken, 'cause you will not shake. Walking thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. Still in your hands, this is my confidence, you've never failed me yet. Oh, you've never failed me yet.
Welcome to Rancho United Midweek. We're so glad you're with us. We are here with Dr. DeBoard. He is an ER doctor here in the Valley, Inland Valley, as well as Rancho Springs. Inland Valley is a level 2 trauma center, and we're grateful to have that in our community. Dr. DeBoard and his family have been a part of Rancho since 2011, have kids in the school as well, so thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely.
We sure appreciate this. Now, we are in this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, and it's been compared to a war. And medical professionals are on the front line of that war. Tell us what medical professionals are thinking right now.
So first of all, we have never seen anything quite like this. It's very unique. We've seen something similar in H1N1 about 10 years ago, but with COVID, it's very elusive. We were able to test, I think, a little bit more rapidly with H1N1. What we're seeing now is a very, again, the elusive virus, difficult to track down, and then we're seeing the effects that it's having on our community, especially our elder community, our geriatric patients, and it's tough right now. It's not easy. Part of it is not knowing quite what to expect. You see everything going on around the world. And it's almost like a tsunami just waiting to come, but in like slow motion, right? Like here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, and just preparing for that. And we've had cases here in the Valley. We've had very sick patients with COVID, but not the intensity that we're seeing in, say, Washington State or Italy or even other parts of the East Coast, New York. But still preparing for that potential as we learn from all these different medical communities around the world, we're able to prepare, I think, a little bit better for what's potentially to come, and we, in all intents and purposes, expect it.
Okay. Interesting you said a tsunami in slow motion coming, so we've all seen that bell curve, right? Mm-hmm. And so we don't know exactly where we are on that bell curve here locally. We do know that it's probably going to rise, right? And you're seeing it coming, and medical professionals are preparing for it. What is what's going through the psyche of the medical professionals as you kind of brace yourself? What are they going through maybe more personally? What are you feeling in this whole situation?
Absolutely. There's fear. There's definitely fear. There's fear potentially coming into work and not knowing quite what to expect. With those sicker, potentially COVID patients, realizing that we could catch it and we could get sick. And we've seen our colleagues in New York. There's a couple, even our age, who've come down with COVID, and that risk and that threat is there. We've seen healthcare workers in China. They had a significant issue with deaths in their doctors and their nursing staff, and that was one of the big challenges they had to overcome. So you see kind of all of this going on around you, and so there's definitely fear, but I will say it's managed fear.
Yeah.
To the point where we still have a job to do. Yeah. We still have a community to treat. There's the worry and the concern, but that's very much offset by the task at hand.
And that's where, we're so grateful for the medical professionals. We're used to thinking, okay, those who are off to a war, we respect them and they're taking risks. And you yourself served in Iraq.
Yes.
So you've been on literal front lines of war. Now you're on the front lines of medicine. And so, we always think of military, we always think of police and fire, sort of those first responders. You're first responders in this war, so we're so grateful for the medical professionals here and throughout the world, really. What can we do, just as citizens who are not on the front line, what can we do to ensure that you get to do your job as well as possible? What's our responsibility?
I think that's a great question. I think a lot of us are doing it, where if you're not sick, you're staying out of the ER, right? The hangnail can wait a little bit.
I know, this one's pretty bad.
Yes, you
and
have.
We'll talk afterwards.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll fix that one. But if you're not sick, staying out of the ER, and what that does is it frees us up to treat those critically ill patients. It also prevents further exposure as we're getting those potential COVID patients through the emergency department. That exposure that you potentially could have by coming in with your hangnail goes away, and so doing what we're doing, hand washing obviously is huge, right? And we're actually finding maybe a bigger deal than we thought. That there's a lot of contact transmission that we're seeing with COVID staying alive on surfaces much longer than we thought. There was mention of a recent article and paper where the virus actually, after 17 days, was still in a cruise ship.
Cruise ship, I heard that. Yeah,
Right, and
astounding.
so, yes, exactly. And so washing our hands religiously, the social distancing like we talked about, and then staying out of the emergency department if you're not sick. Obviously, if you're sick, we want to see you.
Yeah, for sure.
We want you there. We're there to treat you, but we want to put all of our resources towards those sick emergent cases.
Yeah. And part of that also is just conserving medical supplies, right? So
Absolutely.
if the traffic is for needed patients only, then that keeps the medical supply issue, as good as it can be managed, right?
Absolutely.
Now, the COVID-19 virus, there's a lot of unknowns. Everything I hear and read, there's still a lot of data yet to be collected about it. But there's some very unique things about this virus that are a little more concerning. Tell us about what's unique about COVID-19.
So the uniqueness is, one, there are multiple strains, and we're learning that. There's at least 2 strains that we're finding. 2 is the ability to very quickly attack the cells in our lungs. And that puts individuals like our geriatric patients, like our patients with comorbidities like diabetes or high blood pressure or obesity, puts them at risk. And soon as that virus attacks those lung cells, it takes off, and it very quickly can make somebody who seemingly has a cold actually very critical, intubated, and potentially in the ICU.
Wow. And it's also highly contagious as well. This has kind of
Yes.
been surprising in terms of recently finding
Yes.
that it is very contagious.
Absolutely, and when we think about the varying degrees of how contagious COVID is, influenza typically on average will infect 2 patients for every 1 individual who has influenza. COVID, on the other hand, infects just about 4 individuals, 3 to 4 for every 1 individual that has COVID. So definitely on a scale of at least 2 times, maybe greater with respect to transmissibility. Not as high as measles, but a majority of us have had measles vaccinations, and that's why it doesn't become as transmittable as, say, COVID.
Okay. Now, there's been some controversy, especially earlier in this pandemic, where younger generations were kind of cocky and, this kind of, sense that this isn't going to impact me.
Right.
And so they were partying on Miami Beach and that kind of thing.
Right.
And it is true that perhaps younger generations aren't affected as much,
Right.
but why should even the younger generations take great care? For example, I've heard, why do we close schools when it doesn't impact children all that much?
Right.
What's the answer to that question?
Yeah, the answer is your social responsibility. It's your social responsibility to not only potentially your family, but to somebody else's family, and the potential risk that infection gets spread to an individual who's older, who has comorbidities, and their death rate is significantly higher. We're talking about a potential 85% survival rate, about a 15% mortality rate if you're
For those
over
at risk.
Yeah, for those at risk if you're over 80 years old. And so to flippantly go to these spring break, beaches and potentially catch COVID and bring it back to your community or to your family, it puts those individuals at significant risk.
What changes might we expect that could be permanent changes, let's say in the healthcare field as well as just in society itself?
Hopefully the goal is this brings us together, right? And I've seen this bring healthcare providers together. We have on Facebook a forum of 23,000 emergency department physicians that have come alongside each other. We've shared information as everyone has kind of learned and treated these patients, some much more frequently than others, and they pass along their lessons learned, and we get to implement those for our patients here in our community. And so you have that community of ER physicians that's come together, but hopefully in our society in general, hopefully the goal is that this social distancing actually doesn't turn into permanent physical distancing, right? And brings us together, and we see the anxiety, we see the fear that's going on now, but we've also come alongside each other in these times, and I'm hoping that it just brings us together that much more.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a great vision for our families that are close together.
Absolutely.
Our communities are closer together.
Absolutely.
Your profession is closer together as a result, and hopefully those bonds are permanent. Do you see an end to the human handshake?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. I hope not. You know, maybe for the short term.
Yeah.
But I hope not. I hope that this does the opposite. I hope this does the opposite. I hope it makes us realize how much we need each other. I really do. And I think probably now more than ever in history, where we're stuck behind our screens and stuck, behind computers, maybe this has shown us a little bit more about how we actually need each other. We need each other more now than ever.
That's very well said, and cannot agree with you more. And I also want to thank you, and you have just praised the healthcare personnel locally. They are professional men and women who are doing such a great job here for our valley every day, but particularly in times like this. So thank you very much. I'd reach out and shake your hand, but I'm not going to do that now. There'll be a time and a place. Thank you.
Hey, that was awesome. That was tons of fun. We're so glad that you guys were able to come with us tonight and just connect. How amazing is that? I do want to remind you that you can go to rancho.tv/giving to continually tithe and give offering during this time. There's great different ways it'll show you on there. You can give through text to give. You can set up an online kind of monthly withdrawal. Whatever way you like to do it, we would just want to encourage you to give at this time. And also, we just want to remind you that we have all of our campuses are going to be going live again on Sunday morning. We have our Temecula campus, Murrieta campus, Rancho en Espanol. We've got kids stuff, youth stuff. So please go to rancho.tv and check that out. And we want to see you back here on Sunday morning. Thank you so much. That was fun.